That's right, 2 new litters. Both females are fluffy carriers bred to visual fluffy studs. And if that's a bit confusing, don't worry, I'm going to explain all that today. I'm going to explain to you what a fluffy Frenchie is, how they're created, where they came from. And then I'm going to introduce you to all the new puppies. First, we bred my girl Pecan Pie. She's a fawn, sable, triple carrier, meaning she carries blue and chocolate, and she's a fluffy carrier, meaning she carries 1 copy of the long hair gene that's used to create fluffy Frenchies. Pecan's super tiny, only 16 pounds, amazing conformation, and just full of life. She's got a great personality to her, always got that big pecan smile on her face, and always running around getting into something. Then just 5 days after Pecan's puppies were born, Tsunami had her puppies. Tsunami's a chocolate and tan. She's a cocoa chocolate. Chocolate and tan carrying blue and rojo. Tsunami's also a fluffy carrier, carrying 1 copy of the long hair gene. So as you see, a Frenchie can be a carrier of the long hair gene, but be visually short hair. The long hair gene is a recessive gene, meaning you need 2 copies of it for it to be expressed. Pecan and Tsunami are only carriers, therefore it's not expressed, but they are able to produce visual fluffy Frenchies paired up with the correct stud. So that's what we did. Pecan Pie was bred to Freak Jr. He's a Freakachu son. If you know anything about Freakachu, very small, very thick, very compact, great structure, great looking dog. He was sold for about $400,000 a few years back. He had a stud fee of $10K. Freak Jr. is a chocolate and tan, full visual fluffy, 2 copies fluffy, son of Freakachu that I used on Pecan Pie. For Tsunami, we used a dog named Royce. Royce is an Isabella Merle, full visual fluffy, 2 copies fluffy. So statistically, breeding a visual fluffy, 2 copies, to a carrier, 1 copy female, you're going to get about half your litter visual fluffies, half your litter will just be fluffy carriers. And that's exactly what happened here. Pecan Pie had 2 puppies, 1 visual fluffy, 1 short hair. Tsunami had 4 puppies, 2 visual fluffies, 2 short hair. Something very special did happen here though, that doesn't happen a lot, and it's the first time it ever happened for me. Tsunami was bred to a Merle. Like I said, Royce is an Isabella Merle fluffy. So first of all, you should never breed a Merle to a Merle. You don't do that. If you breed a Merle to a Merle, you're at higher risk of vision and hearing problems. Doesn't mean you're gonna get them, but it means you're at high risk, so we don't do that. What you do to eliminate all risk is you always breed a Merle to a non-Merle. As long as there's only 1 Merle involved, there's going to be no health risks. So, 1 parent's a Merle, the other parent's a non-Merle. Statistically, half the litter should be Merles, half the litter will be non-Merles. But this time, 4 puppies, 4 Merles. So it can happen. The easiest way I can explain it is it's like a flip of the coin for each puppy. It's a flip of the coin whether that dog throws that gene or doesn't when they possess 1 copy. If they have 2 copies of the gene, they will always throw 1 to the offspring. And that gets a little funny with the Merle, because the Merle, you're always going to have 1 copy. So it's a 50-50 if it throws that copy of Merle to the offspring. Whereas the Fluffy, a 2 copy visual Fluffy, will always throw 1 copy to each offspring. So no matter what, the entire litter will be fluffy carriers. Now it's up to the carrier in the situation, whether it's the father or the mother, for her to throw her copy. So it's a 50-50 shot if she's a fluffy carrier, if she's going to throw her copy of Fluffy. So like I said, statistically, you're going to get half the litter, but you could get a full litter, You could get none. This is Chimera. She's a Pantera and Drago daughter off their last breeding. She's an Italian Mastiff, Cane Corso. And this is the Boogeyman. He's gonna be an up and coming stud over here at Big Bone Bulldogs. He's a mini English Bulldog. He's a black triple carrier. Carries blue and chocolate, can produce lilac, blue, chocolate, black and tans, all colors. So something I wanna make sure I clear up before we go any farther. Fluffy Frenchies, long-haired French Bulldogs, are 100% purebred. Well, I can't speak for all of them. There are some breeders out there that I've heard have done crossbreeding with Pomeranians to get the long-haired gene, but it's not necessary. And that's definitely not how I got the long-haired gene into my lines. The fluffy French Bulldogs have been around for a very long time. Fluffy French Bulldogs can 100% be purebred. And I'm gonna get into that more in just a minute. But first, let's start introducing you to some puppies. Let's start with Pecan's litter. I call this little girl right here Lilac Lily. Lilac Lily is off a little 16-pound pecan pie and Freak Jr. So she's got that Freakachu blood in her. She's a female, she's a fluffy carrier, she's a lilac. 2 copies blue, 2 copies chocolate. She's a lilac fawn. So that's why she's this lighter creamish color, but you can kind of see the lilac coming through a little bit, especially in the mask area. You like her, Drago? You like all the girls, Drago. Stay off my girls, Drago. Your girlfriend's back there. Go give her some loving. You're in the way. All right, and here is her sister, Bucky. So Bucky has a story behind her. Everybody likes Bucky. Bucky is normally the loudest puppy out here. Bucky is absolutely full of life, even though she had an incident with her eye. So little Bucky, she's a female. She's a chocolate sable fawn. Sable, fawn, they kind of go hand in hand. So a sable is when the tips of the fur are a darker color. So you generally don't really see it in this direction, but you see it more when you look up the follicle backwards. You see that dark tips of the hair. Little Bucky, she opened her eyes early. She had her eyes open by about 7-8 days. And right soon after she opened her eyes, unfortunately, little Lily scratched her in the eye. If you've ever felt newborn puppies, week-old puppies' nails, they're like needles. And these two are very spunky, just like their mama Pecan Pie. So they were just fighting and wrestling and being puppies. And unfortunately, little Lily got Bucky in the eye. I had an ophthalmologist look at it. It's been being treated ever since it happened. It looks much better now. I honestly think she can see out of it. She might not. I'm not sure. What happened is called a perforation is what happened. And if the lens got scratched, then she could be blind. If the lens didn't get scratched, then she probably can see still. And honestly, I really think she can. I'm not too sure, but it hasn't slowed her down one bit. This is little Bucky. Now let's move on to Tsunami's litter. Tsunami Mommy. Tsunami is a first-time mommy. This is her first litter. Pecan Pie is an experienced mom. Pecan's had a few litters. This is her 3rd litter. Tsunami though, first-time mom. You never know how that's gonna turn out, but Tsunami did an absolute great job with this litter. Very proud of her. This is little Cowboy. Tiny little boy, the smallest out of both litters. He's a black and tan Merle carrying Fluffy. Like I said, all the pups will be carrying Fluffy because the stud was a visual Fluffy. So he passes a copy of that Fluffy on to all the puppies. Also, he's a black and tan, carries blue, carries chocolate, carries Rojo. So this boy can produce all colors. He's super small, he's got a great attitude, and this is little Tsunami's son, Cowboy. We'll move on to his brother, the other fluffy carrier in that litter. Now this boy is an Isabella Merle fluffy carrier. What's an Isabella? An Isabella is of the most sought after, probably the most rare, the most desirable color in French Bulldogs. And it's a combination of two colors. So it's a combination of blue and rojo put together creates Isabella. Just like blue and cocoa chocolate together creates lilac. So he's an Isabella, 2 copies blue, 2 copies rojo, 1 copy cocoa because his mama passed one on, and he's a Merle. And he's a fluffy carrier because his father passed on the fluffy carrier gene. Beautiful little boy, son of Royce, son of Tsunami. We call him Sandman. Next, we move over to Tsunami's fluffies. Look at this little girl here. Isn't she beautiful? You like her, Boogie? Isn't she beautiful? We call her Ocean Eyes. She's a blue and tan. See her tan points? See the tan mask? She's a blue and tan Merle. See the spotting, obviously. She carries cocoa and she carries rojo. So this girl can produce all colors, amazing structure, super fluffy, great temperament, daughter of Royce, daughter of Miss Tsunami. We call her Ocean Eyes. And then last, but certainly not least, the unicorn of Frenchies. What everybody's been chasing in the Frenchie world for the last 2 years. You can't have her, Chimera, but make friends. She's sticking around. She's sticking around, Chimera. Get to know her. I call her Fancy Girl. Meet Fancy. Fancy, like I said, is the unicorn of Frenchies. What everybody's been searching for. She's an Isabella and tan Merle, visual fluffy, female French Bulldog. This is what everybody's wanted. Isabella and Fluffy are is a new coat type and color that got introduced in the last couple years. So if you were able to put the combination together, Isabella with the Fluffy, that's what everybody was going for. A female just like this, the first Isabella Merle female visual Fluffy, sold for $400K 2 years ago. Isn't that wild? She's not $400K now. So many people have been breeding and were chasing that combination that it quickly became not as rare. Still a very rare dog, still a five-figure dog if I was to sell her, but she's gonna go ahead and stay here. Isabella and tan, Merle, female, visual Fluffy with absolutely incredible structure. This girl has a beautiful face, a big head, short back, thick from front to back, short legs, wide chest, and a pedigree to back it up. She's got names like Shaq, Royce, Kong, Micro Jordan, Maui. This girl's pedigree is stacked. I could have produced a dog like this a couple years ago, but it wouldn't have been of this quality. I took my time breeding to dogs that had the structure that I liked, with the DNA being secondary, so it took a little longer to get the genes in the colors I was looking for into the program, but I'm very happy that I took the long route with what I got here with Fancy Girl. Let's get into the history of the Fluffy Frenchie. Since so many people like to say that they're not purebred when they have no idea what they're talking about, because they're definitely purebred. Fluffy Frenchies are not new, they're just new to a lot of people. Fluffy Frenchies were around in the early 1900s. When they were dialing in the French Bulldog breed, long hair was never in the vision. It was never in the original vision. So they bred it out. They let They didn't intentionally keep breeding to create visual fluffies. If you remember, I told you it's a recessive gene. So you need 2 copies of the long hair for it to be expressed visually. Now, as time has progressed, and now we have DNA testing, now we can selectively test these dogs and we can test their DNA, and even though it may be a short hair French Bulldog, like Tsunami, like Pecan Pie, the testing could reveal that they carry one of those copies of the long hair gene. So now with selective testing of different dogs, you find 2 dogs that each carry that long hair gene, and you breed them together, and hopefully, remember, it's not always, it's a coin flip, so you're doing 2 coin flips now from each side because they're only carriers. So as long as both of those dogs flip that coin and they land heads and heads, you're gonna get a visual fluffy. If they both throw that copy of long hair, then you're gonna get a visual fluffy. And that's what's happened. That's what's brought them back. Everybody's seen them and went crazy over them. So they got bred more often, more often, more often. And here we are. The dog was just drinking mop water. Sorry. And here we are. Don't drink the mop water. Here we are in 2024, and visual fluffies are a thing. No. Now there are some breeders that did like go out and breed the Pomeranians and stuff because they didn't want to. When the fluffy Frenchies first came out, they were big money. Big, 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 big money. I told you a female Isabella Merle got sold for $400K. Freakachu got sold for $400K. Dogs were going for big, big money. So a lot of these breeders, when they seen the trend, but they couldn't afford to get a fluffy French Bulldog in their program, yeah, they went and grabbed their grandma's Pomeranian or whatever and did it that way. But that's not everybody. So don't assume if it's a fluffy Frenchie, it's a mixed breed. Because a lot of people did it the correct way, and fluffy French Bulldogs, long hair French Bulldogs, can definitely be purebred. If you guys are interested in Cane Corsos, stable Cane Corsos, well-bred, true to the breed type, this is a true guardian breed. You see how well they are with the little puppies. If you've seen any of my other videos with Pantera, she can play with these little 3-pound, 5-pound puppies and be perfectly safe. She's aware of her size. She's a very confident dog, and she can also run off a 200-pound wolf off the property. So it's the best of both worlds with these dogs. Italian Mastiffs, they must be bred correctly. Temperament is everything. You don't want a big, powerful dog like this with bad temperament. So if you are looking for a Cane Corso, reach out to me. I can get you on that wait list. And of course, if you're interested in a Frenchie, one of these fluffy Frenchies, or one of my mini English Bulldogs from an upcoming litter, you can always get on that wait list. And if you are interested in one of these guys, you need to reach out now. A few of these are already reserved, but if you're ready to add one to your family and you're serious, you need to reach out now so you can reserve yours. BigBoneBulldogs.com. And if you're an aspiring breeder, I invite you to go check out the Advanced Breeders Network. It's a place I wish I had when I was starting to breed. It's somewhere where you can get all the education, support, and supplies to breed like a pro, a one-stop shop. Well, I hope I did a good job explaining the fluffy Frenchies to you. I hope you have a better understanding now of what they are and where they came from. So if you learned something, as always, hit that like button for me. If you have any other questions that I didn't quite cover, drop a comment and make sure you subscribe to the channel.